Welcome back. Darlene Graham is headed into South Carolina's August 25th runoff in the Republican primary for her late brother's Senate seat.
She'll be facing York County Congressman Ralph Norman in that contest. Graham has the endorsement of President Trump in this race. Norman has served in Congress since 2017 and also ran for governor this year. Whoever wins the runoff in the next 2 weeks will then face Democrat Annie Andrews this November.
Our political science professor, Dr. Chris Cooper from Western Carolina University, is joining us. Dr. Cooper, good morning. Thanks for being here. Let's start here. The first poll that Nexstar had out had Graham ahead of, Norman ahead of Graham, and then the debates happened. What do you think has shifted so far to give Darlene kind of a lead heading into this runoff?
I think part of it is just it's really hard to do polling in runoffs, right? It's just this is actually the third. We're about now to have the fourth election this cycle, Republican primary election. And so it's really hard to figure out who's going to turn out. Looks like we had about 11% voter turnout for folks who could have turned out, about 9% of the overall registered voter electorate. So it's just kind of hard to predict what those things are going to look like. So I think maybe it's less about public opinion change and more about just maybe our tools aren't suited for special elections and runoffs and primaries as well as they are for general elections.
Chris, not to get too much in the weeds here, but now that we have Darlene and Representative Ralph Norman, the two going into the runoff, I'm looking at some of these numbers here, and I don't want to dig in too deep, but there were 7 other candidates that now leave 141 plus thousand votes, basically, that are sitting out there. How do you, if you're one of these two, what do you do in the next 2 weeks to try to get the bulk of those votes over to your side?
I mean, really, I think, again, it's about turnout. Yeah, it's about persuasion, but you got to figure Ralph Norman's probably going to get a lot of those folks who went for other candidates. I think this election really was Darlene Graham versus the rest of the field to some degree. Maybe Mark Sanford's in his own little box, but the rest of those, I think, were pretty united. So I think it's just about getting your folks to turn out. Again, fourth. Just imagine this, right? The fourth primary of the year for Republican voters. We're going to be in late August. It's about reminding people there's an election, more so even than reminding them to come and vote for you.
And, we have school starting back up, right? And so, things kind of get lost on the calendar. But looking at this and how highly publicized this runoff is, do you expect maybe a little bit better turnout?
I don't. I think the turnout's going to be single digits again. So if we were at 9% this time, I think we might be at 6 or 7%. Wow. It's just really going to be a pretty unusual electorate. And so oftentimes that leads to the more kind of ideologically pure candidates. From that perspective, you might think maybe Ralph Norman has a slight edge going into this runoff, but obviously that's why we hold the election. We'll find out.
How much do you think President Trump's endorsement of interim Senator Graham has gone in terms of boosting her appearance? Obviously, we know she hasn't held political office, although she did run the South Carolina Commission for the Blind. Has that boosted her kind of, opinion in terms of public voters thinking she could hold public office for a long term?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no question that without Donald Trump's endorsement, I don't think we'd be having this conversation right now. I think the notion of Darlene Graham being in probably wouldn't be on the table. And frankly, I don't know that she would have run had she not gotten his endorsement. So yes, I think to understand Darlene Graham's position right now is to understand the importance of a Donald Trump endorsement in a primary.
If you were a Senator Lindsey Graham fan, and now maybe you did vote for Darlene, as this runoff is coming up, at some point you have to make a decision, maybe not necessarily who you like the most at this point, but whoever's going to actually go to Washington and get something done. Which one of these two could get more done in D.C., you think?
It's a great question, right? Obviously, Norman has a much longer political resume. I mean, that's clear. But at the same time, Darlene Graham, at least, now knows a little bit about how the United States Senate works. I do think it's interesting and maybe not the greatest decision that she doesn't seem to be doing a lot of press availability. I would have thought that once she got into office, she would say, hey, I'm here, I'm open, and really try to get her name out there. She doesn't appear to have done that thus far. And I think that's maybe the biggest head scratcher for me, at least at this stage.
Okay, so looking ahead to after the runoff, right, matching up against Democrat Annie Andrews, what do you think of that matchup there and who likely could be more successful in South Carolina?
I mean, there's no question that a Republican next to a Democrat, it almost doesn't matter who they are. The state of South Carolina, in a statewide election, the Republican is going to have a large advantage. The Democrats have been putting up good candidates lately. It's not like they haven't been putting up quality challengers, but they continue to lose. Folks like Jamie Harrison. Dr. Annie Andrews is an excellent candidate. She's running a very good campaign. She's getting media attention. She's raising money. But boy, that is just an uphill battle in the state of South Carolina right now, and it has been for a number of cycles. So it's going to be tough for any Democrat, including one as talented as Annie Andrews.
Dr. Cooper, I want to piggyback off of what Jason asked you in terms of who can get more done. We know that Trump's obviously has endorsed Darlene, but who do you think the Republican Party wants there in terms of getting more things done for the Republican Party? Because we know that sometimes a Trump-endorsed candidate isn't always a candidate that the GOP wants.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And let's remember, too, Lindsey Graham was not always the most popular Republican when he was in office. So our friend Scott Huffman at the Winthrop poll has shown throughout his polling that at the height of Lindsey Graham's popularity, it was still below the bottom point of Tim Scott's popularity, right? So he just wasn't really that popular with a lot of Republicans, certainly over 50% and enough to get reelected, but it's not as if he was the kind of person who has this huge name recognition that is completely positive. So Darlene Graham, yeah, she's benefiting from Lindsey Graham's name, there's no question, but among some Republicans, she may actually be looked at a little bit sideways because of that association with Lindsey Graham.
Dr. Chris Cooper, political science professor, Western Carolina. Chris, always a pleasure. Thank you. Of course, the runoff's coming up August 25th. In 2 weeks from yesterday, we'll have more results, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you that same week. Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.